Lads, we are back.
Yep. Still here. Not going anywhere.
Those are the lines. I was waiting for Daniel to do his
Yes.
thing. All right. Big episode today, lads. We are going to talk about so much. Anders Lee is out for the season. That's some news. The Blue Jackets are falling apart. We're going to maybe look at what the Kirill Kaprizov extension looks like. Hello, Paneri. We're going to look at you, I bet. The Blues have extended Jordan Binnington. We're going to look at, because we're apparently calendar-wise halfway through the NHL season, and we're also going to have a trade deadline preview for the North Division a little later, guys. To open the show, though, we do have to mention this, I think. Guys, winter testing doesn't mean a damn thing in F1, right?
Not really.
No, that's good, because Mercedes have had a very crap winter testing. Lewis is
It's okay.
It's been a mess.
I bet they'll figure it out. Just my guess.
Sure hope so. Because, it'd be the worst thing if something bad happened to Mercedes. Because, it's not like they are the pinnacle of sport.
Do you think if they just didn't improve their car at all from last season and just use their 2020 car, they'd still win this year?
Probably. Wasn't that like the fastest car ever?
I think so, yes.
I hate them. I don't hate them, but it sucks. You know what doesn't suck for Jordan Binnington, that is? The Blues. The St. Louis Blues. Not like the blues, the music genre. Imagine that. Imagine if they gained self-awareness like a genre itself. It'd be like
it's based on it, the Blues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't their logo is literally a music note?
Yes.
Yeah. Is what are the Utah Jazz based off of jazz? Probably.
Oh, so it actually is. So what happened? So there's a fun fact. They used to be the New Orleans Jazz, but they got moved to Utah.
Oh, and then they got the Pelicans, who are not correct because it's a white bird, not a brown bird.
Yeah, like I think Donald mentioned it. Sorry, we're on a weird tangent now, but Donald mentioned it last week when the LA Lakers, but there's no lakes in LA. It's because it used to be the Minneapolis Lakers.
And there's lots of lakes in Minneapolis. Is that
Yeah.
what it is?
I don't think he explained it because I think I said, no, that's not on the list, so we're not talking about that.
Well, I guess now we know.
No, well, yeah, now we do, and that's one less team to ask Will about when we have him on next week. Who's going? I didn't know that the thing at the bottom of a cowboy boot was called a spur until he mentioned it. I'm like, that makes sense. Though,
That cowboy keychain.
what? Anyway, lads, Carey Price always dresses like a cowboy. He's a good goalie. I'll tell you who's maybe not a great goalie. He's a fine goalie, but he's getting paid like a good goalie. The St. Louis Blues have they've inked Jordan Binnington, the goalie who won them a Stanley Cup, to a 6-year contract extension that kicks in next year, obviously. $36 million in value. That carries an AAV of $6 million. So he got the Jacob Markstrom deal. And I believe his save percentage last time I checked was .903 this year, and it was a .910 last year.
I happened to go on Cap Friendly, and you know how if you click on the extension, you can see it'll give you, was this a good signing? You'll see yes versus no.
Mm-hmm.
If you just had to take a guess what the consensus was on this deal, what would you say it was?
No, except for like, if you put it in a virtue of 31 votes, it would probably be 30 people saying it's bad and one person being it was good, and it's Blues fans.
Yes.
Rather large.
It is extremely large. It is 82 people or 82 votes no, 15 votes yes.
And those are Blues fans.
The thing is, okay, I know it's bad, but it's like it makes sense that it's, even though it's bad.
Why? Because he was good?
Because he was good, and I think it's the Blues are looking at the window they kind of have with the roster they have. And we talked about it in the summer where who is Ville Husso? And we looked at their prospects, and like they haven't drafted another like goalie of the future.
Thanks for Jake Allen, by the way.
So what, you think they were like desperate in doing this?
Two things where I think that they're still, and we've talked about it before, the Raptors, like, they're bad this year. And I know it's because also the injuries and the COVID protocols, but it's like you when you have the championship, you don't want to you want to keep holding on to that, right? And you
Sure.
still have like, the roster more or less to kind of do something. And I think it's the second thing is the management thing. Is like I think they just love Jordan Binnington. Okay, I know they won the cup, but if you look at his numbers again in that finals, like he wasn't that good.
I think
Game
here.
7, yeah.
I think when we think about that Blues run, I think we put a lot on Jordan Binnington. We say, well, hey, he came up, he and he rescued them from 31st place, which is true. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve credit. What I'm saying is we put all this credit on Jordan Binnington, but I don't remember. Like I remember talking about Craig Berube. Where did that go? Where did all that come? Like the credit kind of disappeared for everybody else, but we're still talking about the Jordan Binnington hype, which is fine. But let's remember, he's not the only guy on that team.
Yeah.
They are now missing their Norris Trophy candidate, captain, Olympic level defenseman.
I read. Sorry, go ahead.
And I was just gonna ask, was that Daniel just a very calm dunking on the Blues of how bad they are, or were you defending them there? Because it felt like a bit of both.
I think I'm trying to just kind of balance it out where I know they're a really good team. They're a fun team to watch, but I think just for I think they kind of gave him this contract right now, even though he's not playing his best, simply because they're like, we still are technically within the window, and let's keep the band together.
I read something interesting, and I forgot who said it, but I think the understanding here was if they couldn't get this deal done this time around, it was going to be until the off season that they were going to discuss a contract extension. If I'm the Blues, wouldn't that be better considering, hey, he's so halfway through the season, he's not having a great season. If he does not finish the season, if he finishes the season like this, who in the open market is giving him $6 million by 6 years?
Edmonton. I believe is the correct.
That is true. You make a good point.
It's a really weird contract. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's not as bad as Matt Murray, but it's worse than Matt Murray actually for the term and the money.
I had to watch the video of him when he got pulled again after I saw the contract extension.
I guarantee you it was like 4.5, and then the Blues saw it and thought, character, give him 6. I don't know. It's a weird contract.
They don't know how to round up. They went another million over by accident.
It's bad. It's really bad. It's going to look bad in a few years. Kind of like Anders Lee's deal. And doesn't it just look worse because he is out for the season? The Islanders lose their captain again. You get it.
A doom.
Yes.
But we feel bad for him. Like, that injury.
Actually, yeah, no, I actually feel hard. Like, that's a good play. Like, contract's bad. They had to sign him, though. Like, if they had lost him, would have been his. Like, I like Anders Lee. Good player. Remember, apparently the Habs were interested in him, and thank God they didn't sign that contract. But
yeah,
massive loss for the Islanders, though. A team that are somehow always in it. Barry Trotz, ladies and gentlemen. But no, a massive, massive loss for the Islanders here. And I wonder if this does sort of spur on, maybe if our trade deadline preview for the North Division does well, maybe we do the East and we look at it. But I wonder if this just sort of spur on Lou to say, all right, maybe we need a bit more offensive oomph at the deadline.
Just question. Have you guys looked at the standings lately?
Slightly.
Kind of. Why?
They are on an 8-game win streak.
What? No, I'm checking that. The Islanders have won 8 straight?
They're 9-0-1 in their last 10.
Wow. Oh, yeah, and they're leading the division.
Hell.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
The hell did I miss?
Yeah, no one's talking about that.
This is a tough, division.
Man,
It
I
is.
know a lot. By the way, the Sabres have lost 10 in a row.
Yeah.
and Eichel, talk about injuries, and Eichel's gone for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think he's playing for this team again.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. It's rough.
You know, we never really talk about too much when we talk about the Sabres.
What?
Rasmus Dahlin.
Yeah, probably because, man, that guy's gonna have his like what? Was he there before Kruger? I can't remember.
Yeah, for one season, I think.
So
Yeah.
he's gonna have his third coach already next season, probably. Because Kruger is, I guess, apparently they were on a big road trip, and that's maybe one of the reasons they haven't fired Kruger yet. That and the Pagulas waste so much money on staff and management, and they can't do that because COVID has ruined their money. Like it has so many other people, but it's that guy's gonna have his third coach. How many for Reinhardt now, Ristolainen? I mean, Buffalo are such a mess.
They were set up so perfectly for such a good team to build around. You have a I'd argue he is close to generational. Jack Eichel is. I don't think he's generational the same way McDavid is, but he's a franchise altering player.
The way it was phrased at that draft was Mick Eichel. Eichel is first overall in any other draft.
Right.
It just so happens he fell behind the next Sidney Crosby.
So you have a franchise altering center.
Yep.
You have a top defenseman. Like he's going to be in the talks for the Norris alongside Makar and Hughes for years to come. You have Sam Reinhart, who's a top 6 winger.
Mm-hmm.
How can you screw this up? You are set up.
And they've got some good young goaltenders.
Yeah, they do.
It's Buffalo, man. They're a mess. And another team that's a big mess right now are the Columbus Blue Jackets. I was rooting for them to lose last night because it would have helped the show, but they beat Dallas. A big win last night over the Stars in overtime, snapping a 3-game losing streak. But they improved their record to 11, 12, and 6. But they're still outside the playoffs. 3 points behind the Blackhawks and have only won 3 of their last 10 games.
I think they've settled into what I thought they were going to be last season when they lost everybody. I think they played a lot better than I thought they would last year, but now I think this year's like they're truly getting into the identity of what they are supposed to be based on the talent they have at the moment and the contracts they've given out.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a messy situation.
I want to talk about ice time, by the way. You know how much Line played the other game in Florida?
Not a lot.
Was it like 15?
It was less than 15. I think it was 14 something.
I don't know if you guys saw, I'm assuming you did. He had a goal and an assist, and apparently he didn't play the back half of the third.
I believe that was the Panthers game.
Yeah,
Why?
And he said, I thought I was playing pretty well. And he said, apparently not. And Tortorella...
Apparently it was like his defensive game or something. Like he was
Man,
-2 or -3.
Man, at some point, I would have defended Tortorella only a few weeks ago. At this point, now it's just getting... Like, they had a game, I think it might have been against the Panthers, too, or one of those. They've played, like, 3 teams in the past 3 weeks, feels like, where they blew a 4-1 lead and ended up losing the game. Like, that's the sort of game that Columbus should shut down.
Yeah.
I think last time I checked, Merzlikins was a 903, 905. Is it time that Tortorella goes?
I think the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's lost the room. I think he's lost certain players. I think he lost Dubois.
The moment he got him.
Right. Like, I think he lost Dubois at the beginning of the season. I think he lost Laine. I think he's recently lost Laine. I think when he benched him for a couple weeks ago with the whole assistant coach incident, I think Laine realized what he did wrong. So I think things continued. But I'm sorry, you have 2 points. You are an elite goal scorer. I don't see where the benching comes in.
I don't know.
If Tortorella stays, I had this is still early, but I sense a holdout from Patrick Laine.
See, and we on the show I think have defended Tortorella a lot. Though, like we saw Line A, I think no matter what in Winnipeg, it was going to be a struggle. I don't know if it will be the single reason he holds out, but I think it will contribute to it. I don't want to. I saw people saying like Line A will never play past this year in Columbus, and I was thinking, no, he'll be fine. At this pace, though, I'm starting to join that train because, man, and I mean, who are the centermen he's playing with now? Apparently, Domi's available. Again, nothing to Alex Texier, but Alex Texier.
We just like his first name.
Yeah.
Texier, last name as well.
But he's not from Texas.
I just realized it's because Alex's name as well, but he's not. What? No,
He's from France.
Yeah, that's the joke.
But I think because here's my thought process. Torts is on the last year of his deal.
Yes.
Right. So I think Daniel's right. I think if he wants to be in Columbus and Torts is still there, he's going to push.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen it before, not just with Laine. We've seen it with other guys holding out because of a coach, or supposedly, allegedly. No proof of that. Just my thought. Just thinking here. I think he's going to hold out. But if I'm Kekalainen, I don't think Kekalainen's necessarily on the hot seat. I think if he lets Tortorella go and bring in someone else, I think it would be better for the team in the long run.
Right. They need offensive talent. And there's a big offensive talent in Minnesota. He needs a new contract, which is weird to say because he just got here. He just got his first career hat trick. The second Minnesota Wild rookie to ever get a hat trick. He's got 10 goals, 23 points in 25 games played. Ladies and gentlemen, only 6 penalty minutes, by the way. Give him the lady thing. Daniel, what does a Kirill Kaprizov extension look like? And is it basically Panarin getting 2 years, $6 million AAV? Is that where we go here?
Honestly, I think, and this is just what the idea has been, is he might bypass that and might want to go for the term.
Really?
Apparently Bill Guerin, because they did so much work to get him out of the KHL, that they're like, we're keeping you. Yes. That it's similar to like a Malkin kind of thing where you might not get the full big contract right away, but it's definitely not going to be a bridge. Mm-hmm. That the amount of work that's been put in place, and I think that, and this is just something that has been like a big thing for the Wild, is he's like one of their first Russian prospects in like a long time. They don't draft, the Wild usually never draft out of Russia. And it's because of this commitment thing, but they felt that he was that kind of talent that we have to pick him up, even if it's in the 5th round. Again, another steal. That was a steal, but the feeling there is he's part of this youth movement now that you're seeing with this team, that this is where you want to roll with, right? Like you don't have a Paul Fenton, you don't have a Chuck Fletcher that's still thinking, let me try to win with all these big contracts. I think that it's a new era for the Wild that they have to kind of buckle down and secure all these like young assets.
So let me ask you this then. If it's not a bridge, it's some term, but maybe if you're Kaprizov on, because I don't think the current flat cap is going to affect that player for the reasons you mentioned. He may be 23, but has all the leverage here. Does he maybe go for a Aho Matthews 5-year term? Not that money, obviously, because he's not a center. Nor does he score point per game as Matthews does, and obviously the centerman that gives Aho what he gets. Do you see that happening? I
could see that happening. Which is kind of crazy to think about because we've talked so long on this podcast about how bad the Wild have been with money under Paul Fenton. Yes. And then suddenly Bill Guerin and his trades, even though he traded, our favorite Luke Cunnin, he's freed up a lot of money going into this offseason. Like they are going to be okay re-signing these guys. Like Parise, Suter, that's another issue, but they're going to be okay giving him that kind of deal. Like, I don't think they're going to push too hard.
Do you think you think it could be a deal? And maybe the AAV would have to be adjusted here, but do you think it could be something like the extension that Pasternak or even the first Tavares extension, where he got 6 years by 5.5, and Pasternak got 6 years at 6.66, like something around that type of deal? I think Adam, you were saying that before as well. Like, what does, if it's a 5-year deal, what does AAV look like, or what does the cap look like?
For me, I'm still looking at around like what you said would pass like a 6.5 or a 7.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is a Minnesota, history lesson kind of thing. Like they kept pushing, they kept trying to give the bridge, they kept trying to do something with Marian Gaborik, who is still considered like their best player ever in their in terms of like offensive output in franchise history. And that's what really pushed him out. Yeah. But with Kaprizov, they've created an environment where he's thriving, where they're not forcing him to play a different style. They said embrace what you've become in the KHL, and I think that's why it's a whole different like situation there.
Mm-hmm. What about if we're swinging for the fences here? There's another very skilled goal-scoring Russian centerman Russian winger in a normal year is in the Central Division. You know who I'm talking about? Great, scoring lots of goals, great shot, Stanley Cup champion, 8 years, 7.5, I believe, was his deal. That's Vladimir Tarasenko.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's also something the Minnesota Wild could look at. It's one of those big stories in the offseason to look to, because damn is he fun. And you know what? I know a lot of people call it the Subway jersey. I like those jerseys a lot.
I love them. Yeah, I love them. They've grown on me.
So the color you can describe as juicy, which we don't get a lot of in the NHL. It's a good contrast to the kind of crappy faded red and white and blue of the ice of the lines and that. I think they look really, really nice.
It goes with everything. Like, people are still embracing, like, I think it's still a trend. I don't know. I don't know what the kids are doing these days, but the 90s trend that is it still a thing? I mean, like, we have the retro reverse. Everyone still likes the Charlotte Hornets, right? We love the colors.
I don't even know what their jerseys look like.
It's like teal and
really?
Purple. Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds nice. That sounds really nice.
More teal.
Mm-hmm.
More bright colors.
Would you give them best jersey of the year?
Ooh, is that a tough one?
All right. Well,
I don't know. It's between that or the retro reverse Leafs. I don't know.
I want you. Stop it. I almost said shut up, but that would have been
stop.
Okay. While I introduce the next segment, you guys quickly think of your favorite jersey this year. I've just come up with this on the fly. We're about to now do the 201 podcast half-season award show of prestige and awards. We will be looking at the following awards.
All official awards.
Jersey. These can be. We'll go best retro reverse. Actually, we'll go best retro reverse jersey. We will be looking at the Jack Adams for Coach of the Year, the Jim Gregory GM of the Year, the Selke for the Best Defensive Forward, the Calder for Rookie of the Year, the Maurice Rocket Richard for Goal Scorer, the Art Ross for the Scoring Leader, the Norris, which on this show we count as the Best Offensive Defenseman, the Custom Fulton Reed Trophy for Best Defensive Defenseman, the Vezina for Best Goalie, and the 2-on-1 Podcast MVP Award, the MVP-ness and pure prestige and honor.
MVP-ness?
Yeah. An award that I make up the name as I go, but it's our MVP award because we don't care about the heart. The Lindsay matters, but at the same time, we're very vain here at the podcast, and we want to name an MVP award after ourselves.
It's the Lindsay's the Players Award.
Yes, the Lindsay is the one that actually matters.
Yeah.
But the media are like the heart because we vote on that. All right. And yeah, of course, the best retro reverse jerseys. Okay, we'll go. Go ahead.
Can I make a request?
Sure.
Can I go last for Jack Adams and first for Jim Gregory?
What's really funny is those are the first two on the list.
So yeah, because I have a double combo. They're from the same team.
Wait, so do you want to go first for Adams and last for
No, I want to go last for Adams and first for Gregory.
Okay, remind me if I forget. Because
Okay.
All right. Then, Daniel, who is your Coach of the Year?
Oh, we're not doing the jerseys?
We'll wait for the jerseys.
We wait for the jerseys. Coach of the year. I'm gonna go with Dean Ellefson of the Minnesota Wild
Okay, fair shout.
because, again, like being able to kind of cover what the Wild been doing this season has been like truly a blessing. Thank you, the hockey writers.
Yes.
But the way he's been able to kind of like what he's been able to get out of this team, where they went through how many COVID protocol. Like at one point, they had 12 players missing off the roster.
Okay.
They're the first team to exhaust. Oh, go on. Sorry.
So I'm just saying, remember, we have 10 awards in the jersey to get through, and we have the trade show.
Yeah,
So
Daniel.
we should be very quick with this.
So I can't do an acceptance speech per
No.
award. Okay, yeah, but anyways,
Yeah.
he before the music starts, my speech. He has been able to kind of get through, what is the problem with COVID right now. He's been able to kind of rally everybody, and he knows how to keep the young guys developing and holding the veterans accountable.
Yeah. Listen, Aaron Ekblad's having a fantastic year. This leads into my pick. No one thought the Panthers would be this year, and that's how the Jack Adams works. We didn't think you'd be good, but you are surprised, and the coach has really done that. And honestly, it's a crime he only has one of these. The Jack Adams for me goes to Joel Quenneville. Coach Q, great mustache. Alex, who is your Jack Adams? And I guess at the same time, after that, your Jim Gregory wins.
I went for the double combo here.
Yeah.
I went with my coach of the year is Dean Evison, like Daniel. I'm not going to explain everything again. He pretty much said everything. And then my GM of the year is Bill Guerin. I think it's very important that we talk about the fact that he was able to bring Kirill Kaprizov over from Russia, because this has been something that's been talked about for multiple years, and they haven't been able to bring him over. Fletcher couldn't do it. Fenton couldn't do it. And now it's Bill Guerin who is able to do it. And I think maybe not everything he's done was right, but I think he's given Dean Evison a very good team, or like a team that he was able to work with, and they are producing results.
My GM of the year is I went with this guy if this team makes the playoffs and they are still in the playoff spot. So I have to stick by my word here. I'm giving it to Mark Bergevin. Also because he has not been afraid to fire people, even though if they have a bad streak again, he's probably getting fired. But I don't want to be a shell of a person, and I'm going to stay with my Bergevin pick and die on that hill, which might not go well for me in the long run, but we'll see. Daniel, who is your GM of the year?
I'm going to have to pick Ron Francis of the Seattle Kraken. I'm kidding. Okay, it's Billy Zito of the Florida Panthers. And I think it's because he's proved me wrong from what I expected at the beginning of the season, where I thought Florida was just going to tank it again. But, pretty under the radar moves he's done to really help this team, and they've been rolling.
Have you watched Clone Wars yet?
What's Clone Wars?
Yeah.
Why is this question coming out about Ron
I'm
Francis?
just asking the question.
Yeah, that's not on the award sheet.
Okay, well, clearly not.
What will happen first? Seattle play their first game in the NHL, or Daniel finishing Clone Wars? It's a question that needs to be asked.
There's a beast called the Zillow Beast, and you would have gotten the joke, but you haven't because you haven't watched it.
Oh, wow. Sorry. Thanks for excluding me. Wow.
But we'll see.
Like, why can't you pick a show that, we could have all commented on, like Happy Days or
I haven't seen Happy Days.
Happy Days or what? You don't know Happy Days? The Fonz?
I'm here who watches anime, all right?
Drive to Survive.
Yeah, or MASH. Alex and I used to watch that when that first came out.
Wait, why did I get thrown in there?
Mark Stone will win the Selkie Trophy because the man deserves it at this point. Alex, do you agree?
Yeah, just give it to him.
Okay,
Daniel. Like, why not?
I think he's gonna win it, Mark Stone, because he deserves it. But my pick going in was Alexander Barkov.
He's up there. He's doing well.
Yeah.
Was it just? Was it just me, or did you have to do more research for the Selkie than you had to do for every other award? Because I don't know how many actual Selkie candidates there are in the North Division, like other than Phil Deneau.
Who has not been good.
Who, yeah.
Finally scored though.
We wish him the best.
It's like people would say Matthews, but it's like, yeah, but Stone.
Yeah, exactly.
The North Division is not known for its defense.
No.
If they had the Selkie Comeback Kid Award, I would pick Anze Kopitar.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one because he is very much having a big bounce back year.
Yeah.
Very much is. Okay, the Rookie of the Year. Okay, listen. Kaprizov is going to win it. But he shouldn't because he's 23 and has played in the KHL. So my kind of real Rookie of the Year is Tim Stützle. Alex, who is your Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, mine is Tim Stützle as well.
Okay. Daniel, you had a very quick pan to the camera there. Are you offended?
No, mine is Capo Kokkonen for the Wild, the goalie. No, it's not even the bias thing, but it's also because, again, like I've been able to kind of watch him play, and this is a guy that not really came out of nowhere, but he's been in the system a while. I know he's 24, but he's a goalie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this was the kind of thing where it was just kind of waiting to happen, where he was the AHL goalie of the year last year, and he's on like an 8-game winning streak between his starts. The only losses that the Wild have had is when Cam Talbot was in net.
We are giving a lot of love to the Minnesota Wild today. I'm slowly realizing.
Yeah.
All right, the Maurice Rocket Matthews.
Yeah.
Don't even finish the sentence.
No.
I mean, listen, I'll say, let's just say Ovi, because who the hell knows? Like, remember last year, he did come out of nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who knows?
Connor McDavid wins the scoring title.
Yeah.
Hit like 40 points.
Unless he has a season-ending injury, then it will be Leon Draisaitl.
Patrick Kane?
No,
Yeah, Patrick Kane's up there too.
Yes.
Patrick Kane? Okay, but yeah, those are pretty easy.
You know who's also up there too, but he's still kind of far away from it?
Who?
Mitch Marner.
He is, yes, he is. And as long as Matthews scores.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. The Norris Trophy, which on this podcast is best offensive defenseman. He leads defensemen in goals. The best offensive defenseman so far this year is Jeff Petrie. I will not hear anything against it. Go ahead, Daniel.
Sorry, I'm just gonna take that one in for a bit.
I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if most of them are against the Canucks. He did it. All right.
I feel like, I don't know. You know, with me, I like going off the board with a lot of things.
Oh,
but yeah, but you know, like I'm gonna say Victor Hedman, just based on because it's Victor Hedman. Going into the season, I had Aaron Ekblad, and he has improved, but not to an elite point. Like, you know, there's the elite, and then there's the elite. One guy, and you know, he's been okay, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be Thomas Chabot, where he kind of impressed me. Like, he's kind of carrying the fort there on the defensive
Are
core.
you looking at defensemen scoring right now?
Yes, I am.
Have you noticed Daniel just like the only ones that he doesn't have more than one pick for is the ones where, like, for Capo Kakinen or
It's a Minnesota Wild.
it's a Minnesota Wild. So he didn't have another pick, right? Dean Evison, he didn't have another pick, but all the other ones he had like second and third picks for. I'm starting to see a little bias here. Should I change the color around your name on the logo to green?
We might as well at this point.
No, because no matter where we go, Ducks fly together.
Yeah, great. Alex, who's your offensive defenseman of the year?
I picked Victor Hedman. He does lead in points. I did not look at it now, though. I did have this written down last night. Jeff Petrie would be number 2 on my list, though. He was up there, but I do have to pick Victor Hedman.
He is on pace, Petrie, to score 20 goals. I just want to point that out.
Okay.
Brett Burns scored nearly 30 when he won.
Mm-hmm.
This is disrespect. Disrespect to Jeffrey Dean Petrie. I don't know if it's Dean. Okay, the Fulton Reed for the defensive defenseman you don't know who Fulton Reed is, how are you here? I have given it, and again, I looked up possession numbers and defense and advanced analytics, which I don't do often.
Mm-hmm.
I've given it to Dougie Hamilton.
I like that one. That's been a thing that I think it was Sarah Civ was Sivian. Sorry, I just looked at her Twitter name. That she mentioned that as well. It's like no one is looking at people are like, oh, he's not scoring at the same pace, but like, look how solid he is for that top 4.
She could also say, look at half of our defensemen in Carolina. They could all win it.
Yeah.
Alex.
I am going once again to Victor Hedman, who probably should have got it last year and the year before that. The fact that he only has one Norris is, come on.
It's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. The Vezina Trophy.
Oh, I didn't say my Fulton Reed.
Because you've lost the right.
Really? Have I? It's like a draft pick.
Yes, Jared Spurgeon.
Matt Dumba.
You know, I actually wrote it down, but I changed it before it. I was gonna say Jonas Brodin.
I was gonna say that was that is a good shout.
That's a good shout.
That is a good shout because he is a good defensive defenseman.
Oh yeah, no. Spurgeon and Brodin both are. Yeah.
But
yeah, go ahead.
I'm actually gonna go with Brett Pesci because I just like the guy a lot, and yeah, the way he plays too. Like, you know, he passes the eye and the advanced number test. We like the guy.
The Vezina Trophy I'm giving to Marc-Andre Fleury. Yeah, I get Vasilevsky. Go away. I like. It's very.
Yeah.
I'm going Fleury.
I don't know if it's a question. He's 16-3-1. I don't. Have you looked at his numbers?
Wait. Who is 16-3?
Vasilevsky.
Okay, hold on a minute. Hold on. Let's get. I'll get Marc-Andre Fleury up.
Right. I'll go with mine.
Wait, sorry, Adam. Did you pick Fleury or Vasilevsky?
Fleury.
Okay.
Who is so Fleury is 4. Okay, hold on a minute. He is, if we're looking at this, 14-5-0 with a 935 save percentage and a 1.81 goals against.
He has 4 shutouts.
Yes. What does Vasilevsky have?
He is 16-3-1, 936 save percentage, 179 goals against average. He also had 3 straight shutouts. Did he not?
Marc-Andre Fleury doesn't have an OT loss. It's honestly, both of them are incredible.
It is insane.
I'm actually loving this, by the way, because I remember in the summer, Adam called him an overpaid backup.
No comment.
So who are you two going with for the Vezina?
Vasilevsky.
Marc-Andre Fleury. I actually picked him during the playoff last season, but no one believes me.
Anaheim are going to make the playoffs, by the way.
Okay, you know, you can't get all of them right. You know, for every Rasmus Sandin, there is always going to be a Tyler Biggs.
Okay. Who is your guys' 2-on-1 MVP award winner, prestige and MVP-ness?
Sorry, just the last part. Like we should cut out that part. I don't know.
What?
MVP-ness, he said.
Yes. Most valuable player-ness.
Say that slowly.
MVP.
Oh no! Don't say it slowly, or you're gonna have to make me cut it out.
Huh? No, it's just sorry. I just keep hearing it. That's like we just keep it an MVP.
Get your brain out of the gutter.
No, we need to add extra of prestige and usefulness to the team. Okay. MVP.
Mine?
Yes.
Alexander Barkov.
That's a fair shout. That went off the board. Why?
I just love his game. I've mentioned it before that, you know, he plays that 2-way. He's been like a natural leader that I know that they've had other guys there, like, you know, Keith Yandel. They had I forgot Derek McKenzie was the other captain before him. Remember that? And he's just been able to kind of really grow into the system that he's someone that, you know, he wasn't really thrust in there right away. Like, I know he made the NHL like right after his draft year, but the thing about it is he's been really patient with things. Like he's just like that unsung kind of guy where he kind of reminds me of a bit of a John Tavares, where he knows what to say to the media, and he just kind of lets his game show on the ice that he's been able to lead Florida, and they proved me wrong. That's why I've been so focused on them.
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy you're not saying that. I'm so mad with you right now. You make fun of the award name I have.
Sorry, it's just
Surprised he didn't pick a Minnesota player.
No, Barkov
I
is
know.
a good shout.
I think it's Jordan Greenway. I know.
Breakout year.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good shout. That's a good shout, Daniel. Alex, go ahead.
Connor McDavid. I feel like that's an easy pick, but I just think it is the correct pick in my opinion.
Yeah, I've been takey with this, and I went with McKinnon last year, and he should have won it last year in my opinion. But this year I've decided to be right about this, and I said Connor. I definitely said Connor. I love him. All right, your guys' favorite retro reverse jerseys of the year. Go ahead, Alex.
I don't usually praise this organization. I don't think I have ever on this show. The Arizona Coyotes, the Kachina jersey.
It's so nice. Talk about juice, Daniel.
So I have a bit of a tie, and you're surprised it's not the Mighty Ducks.
Well, because it's ugly.
What?
It's ugly.
It's vintage. It's 90s vintage. It's what the kids are all talking about these days. For me, mine is okay. I'm gonna say Minnesota right away, but I'm also
It is
gonna
a good
add
show.
in. Yeah, I'm gonna add in the LA Kings.
Just for the one game they played against each other.
Yeah, the LA Kings. Tampa Bay Lightning, Washington Capitals, and San Jose Sharks, and it's all based on nostalgia because the Sharks jersey they had that gray one when I first started watching hockey, and Owen Nolan was the captain.
So a sixth of the league is your favorite.
Yes, the Capitals. It's because my first NHL game was
Holy.
NHL '99, and I remember Adam Oates wearing that one with the eagle, and then the Tampa Bay Lightning one is because that's when they won the cup. Those colors. So that's in 2004. So these are the jerseys I picked. Those honorable mentions.
Alex. Oh, you said the Kachina.
I said the Kachina.
I refuse to say Colorado because it's a copy of the Northeast with their colors. It's nice, but it's a complete disgrace to Quebec. Complete disgrace to Quebec.
What about the people of Connecticut? Aren't they sad because of Hartford?
No. Absolutely not. No.
Fun fact about the Whalers. Who
That
you know who was their last player to ever play in the NHL? That was drafted by them?
Kipper?
Kipper.
Prios? Kipper.
No. He was a goalie.
Who?
He's very tied to the show.
Please just say who it is.
Yeah.
Leafs legend Jean-Sébastien Giguère.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
My favorite jersey, by the way, I would have said Montreal, but they can't win in them, so they've lost all love for me. Mine is also the Kachina because I love purple. I love the logo is cool. The detail of the sun and the cacti on the jersey are really, really nice. Even though I'm pretty sure someone on this podcast didn't like the cactus
No, it just
because it's not a bear in the Minnesota sun.
no. I don't know. It just kind of. I don't know. It looks like. I don't know, like a, like DH Gate or like Alibaba. If you buy like a jersey there, like it just I don't know. It just kind of ruins it for me. Like the cacti, where if it was just uniform, I would have ranked them higher.
This podcast has permanently changed our relationship. All right, lads, would you? Your favorite jersey? I'm gonna list 6. 5. All right. I think now it's time to do our trade preview or deadline preview for the North Division, aka the division that matters the most.
Pretty much.
Okay. So we're going to look at every Canadian team, and this is based off of the Ian Mendez article in The Athletic. We've kind of used the information from there with team status, team needs, and their cap space, and we've sort of thrown our own trades together here. We haven't just said a team should get this player. We've kind of formulated some trades here. We've even gone off the salary to really try and make it work here. We all came with our own trades, but before the show, we kind of came together and decided to go with one for each certain need. So what team would you guys like to start with?
Why don't we start? Why don't we go backwards in order from the standings?
Okay.
So
Thinking that too.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, can we save Ottawa?
Okay, so
Okay.
should we start at the top?
Because it's just actually, yeah, let's start with Toronto because my Stefan trade involves the Leafs.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So the Leafs, for those of you who do not know, don't have any cap space. They've got like $100K in room. They need the needs that have been kind of thrown around is maybe some defensive depth on the left side, a top 6 winger to play with Nylander and Tavares, or third line center. Now, Alex and Daniel, you guys kind of came together to kind of mold a third line center deal, if you want to mention that now.
Yes. So the third line center we have selected. We called Kevin Adams and we said, we want Eric Stahl, 50% retained. Here's what you can have. Pierre Engvall and a 3rd round pick in 2022. That has a condition. It turns into a 2nd round pick if the Toronto Maple Leafs make the Stanley Cup final.
Mm-hmm. Which is a safe bet looking at where they are.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah.
And this way they can hold on to Alex Kerfoot, which everyone is throwing around, to make salary. In fact, the trades I have here, I have Kerfoot going in every single one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every
most people
single
do.
one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, Alex, you also looked at the potential left. Yes, you have a potential defenseman for the Leafs. Maybe people are looking at Ekholm, but you've gone maybe a more realistic route and looked at a real depth defenseman who is more famous. I'm kidding. His sister is much more famous than him.
I tried going the Mark Stahl route because I saw a lot of people talking about that, but that was just way too hard money wise. So I went with Jamie Alexiak, 50% retained. Who's the GM in Dallas? Jim Nill?
Jim Neal, yeah.
I called Jim Nill. I said, I want Jamie Alexiak, 50% retained. This is what you can have. Alex Galchenyuk in a 4th. And then I hung up the phone.
I kind of like how we have to start this off by saying, I called this GM and said, this is what we're doing here.
Yeah, I just thought
Yeah.
that was a cool thing.
I don't know if I was listening to Alex or Brian Burke there.
Yes. And then both of you as well looked at a top 6 winger.
Mhm.
What was the one you guys came to?
Well, you want to do both of them? Because I think they're two different types of
yeah.
players.
Yeah.
That was it. You both got ones. Let's start with Daniels.
All right. So I think in terms of skill, he's amazing. No bias. And also the money just makes so much sense. He's making less than $4 million, and he has another season after this, and it's Rickard Rakell.
Mhm.
And I think he can play the wing. If there's, God forbid, another injury or something. He's played center before, but he's going to cost the Leafs quite a bit. So to make the money work, maybe the Ducks have to retain something, but you're going to get Pierre Engvall, you're going to get Rodion Amirov, a 1st round pick and a 2nd round pick for Rakell, who is going to help you almost immediately. He was on a 12-point streak prior to two games ago, but he's proven it before. He's been an all-star. He scored 30 goals, and I think he fits perfectly with what the Leafs are trying to do, and on the cheap. And the extra year of control, I think that it's going to bode so well for them.
And that's it. That's the important part.
Daniel, you missed something.
What did I miss? Oh, yes.
Which general manager did you call?
I called Bob Murray. I'm like, this is what you need to do for your team. You don't need, I gave you Rodin Amirov, but I know you want a guy for some reason who is entering his late 20s. So I'll give you Pierre Engvall. He's going to see Pierre Engvall, and he's going to be like, yeah, that's the centerpiece of the deal. So got him there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Should I go?
Yes.
So, I called David Poyle last night. I said, David, because we're on a first name basis. I said 50% retained, Philip Forsberg. That's it. I said, oh, here's what I'll give you. First round pick this year. I'll give you a conditional second round pick next year. If we make the cup final, have another first. I give you Alex Kerfoot, Nick Robertson. That's it. Take it or leave it.
Yes. Leafs arguably their best forward prospect. Potential 2 first. I like it. I like that a lot. Okay. So I had, by the way, like the others, an individual trade. Matthias Ekholm, I had one. I had Eric Stahl. I had Granlund. But then I thought, man, why be boring? And the lads don't know about this trade. I call it the all of them 2-year window trade. Because listen, the Leafs have made a mistake with the likes of, I can't remember his name at this very, very second. He went to Carolina this year. A lot of skill. Had some personal issues and had to step away from the Marlies. Jeremy Bracken.
Oh, yes.
And we had the issue of Janssen not selling high. They got lucky with Kapanen because the Pittsburgh Penguins are dumb. Even though some people think they could have got more, and that's clearly false.
Stop it.
Anyway, the Leafs have longer than just a 2-year window, realistically, with the talent they have. We saw this in Pittsburgh. They won in 2009. They had to retool a bit, but back in they won, came in 2017, and now they won back-to-back cups. You have a longer window, and they have a good relationship with the likes of Matthews. He's probably re-signing there. Okay? You can work on this. So, their big go-for-it window is this year, and it seems like Canadian teams want to try and have this division again next year because COVID is still a thing here. So this are the best 2 years for the Leafs to go for it. So I called up David Poile, and I called up Pierre Dorian. I said, Pierre, Nashville are going to give you a second next year, and I'm going to give you a second next year, and you're going to give me the Derek Stepan contract that I can use for LTIR. Then I went to Poile, and I said, listen here, dude. You're going to give me at 50% retained. Hold on a minute. I can't read my writing. I think you're going to give me Calle Jarnkrok retained at half for $1 million. He hasn't had the best year, but if you look at his best years in Nashville when they were a competent team, that is a good third-line center who could also play the wing. There's value there. Okay. At $3 million, you're going to give me Philip Forsberg, and retained also at half. At 1.875, you're going to give me Matthias Ekholm too. All of which of those players have this and next year left on their contracts. Correct. So these are a potential lines. Matthews, Marner, Hyman, Forsberg, Tavares, Nylander, Mikheyev, Engvall, Jarnkrok, Boyd, Spezza, VC, you can work on that.
Wait, there's no Joe Thornton.
No, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
This is based off what I saw on Daily Faceoff.
Is this like the TSN article that they just put out that said, does Joe Thornton fit in this lineup?
No, man, if we have to give him up, we give him up. Whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Riley Brody, Hall Muzzin, Ekholm, Bogosian. You're going to notice there are some guys missing. Anderson Campbell. And I told David Poile, this is what you're going to get from me. 2 firsts.
This year and next year?
Yes.
Okay.
Alex Kerfoot,
yeah.
Nick Robertson, and one of Liljegren and Sandin, preferably Liljegren. The money all works here. It's a 2 window, and you're probably wondering, Adam, even if the math is done properly, the Nashville Predator players combined, it's just under $6 million. Even with Kerfoot, Adam, there's about a $1.5 million overage there. That's Derek Stepan. And even with that room, there would still be around 3/3.5 million for another move if they wanted to. Now, you're probably wondering, Adam, where does that additional 1.5 come from in the summer when Stefan's contract expires? To which I tell you, don't worry about it, because Joe Thornton is gone.
Yeah.
I've just come up with that on the fly.
Here's where I'm struggling.
Yes.
weirdly enough, I don't know. I think you have to give Robertson and Sandine.
Sure.
I don't think Liljegren is enough because
Sure, I'll edit it.
yeah, like I think that's what it is. I don't even know if that's enough for all three players, which is weird. Like you think I'd want the Leafs to screw Nashville, but like I don't know. Like if I'm David Poyle, why do I take that deal? Like I could probably get more individually for each player if I wanted to.
Easy.
Okay.
Here's why.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because this league has a problem.
Okay.
It is too boring.
Correct.
This way, we don't know the value of a first. We don't know the value of a second. We
Sure.
don't know how many teams can actually take on cash. But do you know what? One team that can, that we are assured can make trades in this buyer's market, it's the Leafs.
The Leafs.
Now, why would you want Kerfoot? He's got some term. And for the love of God, he can play center.
Yeah.
Like, they just need some semblance of center. Nick Robertson is an exciting young forward prospect.
Yeah.
Which, my God, do they need?
Yes.
The draft picks, listen, they're late picks, but Jesus, you're getting picks there. All right?
Mhm.
It's guaranteed. So if we break it down, really. And don't forget, the Leafs are also giving up a second here to help it work out with Ottawa.
Ottawa.
By the way, whether Ottawa was an incentive here, they get 2 seconds out of it.
Maybe they can spend it on another Matt Murray.
Yes.
Oh no.
This way, they make up some of the room that they've lost in the original Stephon deal. I thought I was actually giving up too much in this deal. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm kind of stalling to come up with something in my mind. Listen, we don't know what the actual, like, how many teams are actually going to buy because there's just no
Yeah.
money. At least with the Leafs, it's a guaranteed thing that you know they can handle this. And listen, if they can truly, and if the word is true that this is their time for it to go for it, there is real possibility that they can make that big move, right? It's just,
Yeah.
and if you're Nashville, you can't just dilly-dally about maybe moving, maybe doing this, maybe this. This is a move that can also commit to them really rebuilding. And a lot of people may say, okay, what about Johansson and Fink? Because for those 2 years, those are all three of their retained salaries. No one's taking those contracts right now, regardless. Not going to happen. Without it having to be a Lucic type situation where
Yeah.
you sign another bad contract. Maybe Skinner, but neither of those teams want to
No.
retain.
Oh my gosh.
So again, let me preface this. I think all our other trades that we're going to look at for the rest of the show are somewhat realistic.
Yeah.
This was purely let's go nuts here because
Let's get nuts.
and this isn't just me saying throw in scraps to get these players.
No.
Like these are some of the least best prospects.
Yeah.
And the money works, dang it. The money works. I used a calculator and everything.
Adam, was this your "this is where the fun begins" moment?
Pretty
Yes.
much. The thing is I don't know what Yarncrook is. What's his value? That's where I get a little confused.
He's been on Nashville for so long. I forgot he was drafted by Detroit.
Oh, I
I
didn't
didn't
know.
even know he was drafted by Detroit. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I tried to get all three of these players, and I looked at third line centers in Nashville, and I realized they don't have one. So
I know.
Yarncroke was
Yeah.
the closest I could go. All right. Shall we go and move on then?
Sure.
All right.
So we'll go to the Winnipeg Jets. Daniel, we've given you the task. They need a top four defenseman ideally to play with Josh Morrissey. Who do you have?
So I went with Matthias Ekholm going there. I know he's a left-hand shot.
Who did you call?
I called Kevy. We have our nicknames since childhood. That I said, listen, this is your core. Don't tinker with the forwards again, except for cap situations. You know what you have in the top six. Now let's fix that back end.
Mm-hmm.
Calls David,
Yep.
and he gets Matthias Ekholm,
Mm-hmm.
but not for very cheap because he knows that Winnipeg really needs it. So he gets an Adam Lowry.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a first-round pick,
Yep.
a second-round pick,
Mhm.
and either a Christian Vesalainen or a Ville Hanula. His choice.
Listen, Matthias Ekholm, you talk about a minute muncher. Talk about an underappreciated defensive defenseman on a great contract. I think that's a very reasonable deal. And if I'm Winnipeg, I'm saying, please take Vesalainen and let us keep Nola. But they maybe don't want to do it, as you mentioned to me before the show. But you know who could probably be an option too? Maybe Logan Stanley. Maybe not, because they'd like to keep him. But I like that deal a lot, Daniel. I really, really do like it. So who is third? Edmonton, right?
This was like the most difficult one.
So the problem with the Oilers is they have no cap, and everything has to be in and out, and they need a goalie, and they need a top six winger. And they basically have no assets, except for like Broberg. And you don't want them getting rid of their picks because they need to goddamn draft some players. Alex, who are you looking here for their top six winger?
I have Jake Virtanen sorry, I forgot. Before I made this trade, I called up Jim Benning. We're good friends. I call him Jimbo or Jimothy. I don't know. Whatever I feel like. And I said, I know you want to give up Jake Virtanen. He's like, yeah, I do. I don't know why, but I said, here, I'll give you Alex Chason. He'll expire at the end of the year. I'll give you a conditional third round pick, and depending on playoff success, might go up. It might just be a third.
Mm-hmm.
And I hung up the phone.
Listen, a lot of people need to realize is Virtanen's not going to get him a lot.
But he's a scoring winger.
He's just, there's no value there. They're trying to trade him.
For like the fourth time.
I at one point had him going to Boston for like a fourth, in like Seneshin. There isn't much there. All right, there's just not enough for him. Daniel, again, the trade guru. Who did you call for a goalie?
I called Billy back in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, because I just assume he lives there. He doesn't live in the downtown core. But I told him, you have a lot of goalies. You know, you don't want to upset Bob with the amount of games you're giving to the other guy. You have another person in university. Actually, two guys in university.
You called Bill Zito, by the way.
Yes, both in the. Yeah, sorry. Just we're just good friends already. That like first name basis. Calls me Danny. Anyways, I said, Chris Drieger is gonna want to get more money. He's gonna want to play more, and I don't think you're gonna be able to give it to him. But I'll give you an interesting prospect for him. And this is me, Ken Holland, trading Raphael Lavoie and a second round pick in 2022 for Chris Drieger because he is cheap, he is young, and he's playing so well that the Oilers need that because they don't have anyone else. Well, no offense, Stuart Skinner, but they don't have anyone else who could really be a starter in the next year or two.
Mm-hmm. Now, why would they trade Drieger again? As you're saying, they have Spencer Knight. Remember Devin Levi?
Yeah.
We all do, of course.
Oh, and Samuel Montembeault is still there too.
Mm-hmm. And for TSN having him on the trade board is again enough. I think they'd be nuts to do it, but Drieger is a good option, a very good option for the Oilers. Then we go to Montreal here, and what are they needing? Maybe another left defenseman, especially now that Ben Sherrod is hurt. We don't know the extent of it, but apparently if it needs surgery, he's gone 4 to 6 months. And all of a sudden, Montreal lose a defenseman on their top pair who eats a lot of minutes. So, first, Daniel. Daniel, you covered a lot of these trades, I'm realizing now. Do you want to talk about who you have Montreal getting as a depth defenseman?
You go first.
Center, sorry.
Center. Oh, okay, yeah, because I was like...
Yeah.
Because I'm like, did I? No, I did not. I was not the defensive guy. Yes, for me, it's Mikael Grönlund. I think it just fits so well. He needs, I said this already when he was a free agent. He needs a change of scenery. And for some reason, he still doubled down and went back to Nashville. I think maybe because of the cap hit they gave him, but he's not too expensive. He's just hasn't looked like the player we know he is with the Predators. So I think he goes to Montreal and they don't get very much for him. They get conditional third. Mm-hmm. That could maybe go higher. I don't know, but it's just something that Nashville needs to do because honestly, they have to get some form of compensation because again, They gave up Kevin Fiala for this. They thought Grenlund was going to become, that 60-point, Selkie type of guy. It hasn't worked out, but I think in Montreal, he gets a lesser role, but he really helps that bottom six kind of going forward. And again, another guy could put on the penalty kill.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I like Granlund a lot. Beside the fact, Minnesota Wild guy, top 13 in Selke voting at one time in his career. Love it. Love to see it. All right, so Montreal, defenseman. You go big or you go home. Bergevin kind of needs to make the playoffs. Otherwise, he's probably gone. And I would say that of any team that is probably going to be a buyer, Montreal might have the best draft capital, I think you'd say. So for Matthias Ekholm, reunite him with Shea Weber. How nice would that be? They are going to give up all of this year a first. It doesn't matter which second. It doesn't matter which third. They can have their pick if they really want to. Defensemen, they can have one of two. I don't mind. Victor Mete, a young, puck-moving left-handed guy, or they could have Cale Fleury, a more old-fashioned, rough and tough, can lay out the body, right-handed guy. And they want a center prospect, a guy who has a bit of offensive flair to him with a second-line ceiling. I need to add that, ceiling. So not a sure thing, but he's got the offensive tools. That's a guy they just signed in the summer, 20-year-old Cam Hellis. Great guy. Love him. Playmaking ability, you love to see it. Then if we look at the Calgary Flames, Alex, they need a top six winger, are the Flames.
Yes, they do. And again, I had to make a call to a friend called David Poyle in Nashville. Davey or whatever. I don't know. Call him something. Mm-hmm. And, I said, Sam Bennett wants out. I don't want to deal with Darren Ferris anymore. I've had enough of his shenanigans. So I say, here, you can have Sam Bennett. He'll be an RFA at the end of the year. You can also have Oliver Shillington, decent defenseman. We're not really using him. And fourth round pick in 2022. Mm-hmm. And then I hung up the phone and I said, see what happens.
I like that one. I think we've mentioned before where, Sam Bennett is not going to fit the Daryl Sutter image of what he wants his team to be. And he's the kind of guy that, old school kind of guy where it's like, going into the playoffs, I don't want this in the locker room.
AK, he doesn't try every night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not great. Not a great guy. You know what? By the way, as we talk about wingers and that, a guy no one's really talking about that everyone should keep an eye out for. He's having a bad year, but he scores 20 goals like it's nothing every year. Kyle Palmieri. I just wanted to mention that. Everyone's talking about like Forsberg and that. Palmieri. Same kind of situation as Chris Kreider. Will they re-sign him? Hopefully not, and we get some zest to the deadline. Okay, Daniel, when it comes to the Canucks, we're looking at Brandon Sutter, a depth defenseman who's probably going to be available. There's been interest. Apparently, the Oilers are in on him, but he makes a bit of money. Where do you see him going?
Yeah, so based on what Jim Benning gave him originally for that extension, that's going to nib them in the butt a bit, and they're just going to run out of time. Mm-hmm. They're going to try to be like, we'll retain salary, we'll get something, but teams will still balk at it saying, no, like we'll get this, and he's still going to try to get some format of an asset of it, but I think it's just not going to work out, and Brandon Sutter is just going to hit the free agency.
Mm-hmm. Alex, was it you who had the Hamonic deal, by the way?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, and that should be our last one here because Ottawa, we can get to Ottawa, but again, the Canucks are selling Virtanen, which we kind of covered earlier, and another asset they could do is Brandon Sutter. But yeah, Hamonic is also one, but he has some trade protection for some reason. But where do you see him?
Don't know. I have him going to the Winnipeg Jets, and to make some money work, I threw in Nathan Beaulieu and a third or fourth round pick, whatever they want.
See, and the important thing that people may be asking here is, it feels like you guys have a lot of trades between Canadian teams as well. It makes more sense because of the quarantining rules.
Yeah.
It's a giant mess. And the reason we're doing our preview show now, as opposed to a little later, is because Canadian teams are probably going to want to get their deals done before the deadline if they do have to do the 2-week quarantine. So you got to keep your eye on that. And this could go just immediately out the window. And I'll just ask you guys, do you have anything when it comes to Derek Stephon deal? Obviously, I had mine in my wacky scenario, but uh, it does mean that GMs have to get a little creative with using LTIR in a dead contract, which we don't see very often. But
I don't have a specific trade, but I do think he's going to be involved in a trade, maybe in a three-way trade. You know, you're looking at some of the guys who make more money. Let's say Taylor Hall, for example. I think Derek Stepan's contract can be used as LTIR money because so many teams and so many of the good teams are so close to the cap.
Listen, the trade deadline is going to be very bad this year. Chances are. And what we want to do today is just prove to GMs there's a chance. You can do it. Make the moves. Do it. Please.
Even if it's 2 weeks prior. We don't mind. We just want the content.
Yeah. I really hope they're not making the TSN and Sportsnet guys come in at 8 a.m. like they do every year and spend the whole day doing the deadline show.
I mean,
or James Dutch.
Yeah, I love listening to him, so I don't really mind.
That's true. He is good. He is really good.
He knows how to this is one thing I'd love to learn in our careers is how to stay enthusiastic even when you have to say the same fact like 5 times. Because you have to be like, as a reminder, or if you just joined us.
You know how the Queen, just like at every public appearance, she just has to put on that face. She has to smile. It's probably just ingrained in her.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like James Dutchy kind of has to have that. You can tell I've been watching The Crown.
Okay.
All right, quick intermission there. Because I had to get a drink. It's very thirsty. Very heated here in the studio apartment. Not a studio apartment. It's a normal condo, but whatever. Okay. To finish off the show, I think we need to talk about that Chris Johnston needs to go to jail for that tweet about the league.
He needs to go to Twitter jail.
Chris
have one. They need to go join Sir Anthony Blunt in jail.
Disclaimer: we love you, Chris.
Yes. Do you guys know who Anthony Blunt is?
No.
He's a KGB spy that worked for the royal family.
Oh, we're not done with the historical references.
He was actually given. He was pardoned for it. Like close to the family. Big art guy, actually.
There was also Kim Philby. Remember him?
Who?
So, he helped with. Sorry, I thought we were going to go to the references, but he actually helped with Bletchley Park in decoding a lot of like the German codes during World War II, and he almost became the head of MI6. Yep. But they also found out that he was like working with the Soviets during the Cold War.
Man, what's it with everyone playing sides in the Cold War, eh?
I don't know.
Man.
Interesting novels, though. Or I guess not novels, but history books, too. A lot of everything. The fan fiction, the actual stuff, great stuff.
War and that is just so interesting to study. You know what I mean? Just the thoughts behind everything and that. It's just really interesting stuff. I don't claim to be Adam Wilde, but I do have a passion for history.
Are we going to have Adam's History Corner?
I don't know about
that coming soon.
I don't know about that.
It'll be its own separate.
If I start talking about the royal family, we're going to have to.
I've actually mentioned it before to you guys. Like, if I didn't go into journalism, I'd probably be a history prof.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
okay,
well, awesome.
Chris Johnston needs to answer for his crimes because since tweeting the Leafs are juggernaut, I think they've won 1 game. Lost again last night, but we do have to mention before we can talk about last night's game that Matthews goal against the Jets.
That was very nice.
The way he's playing really makes me question whether he is injured. That's very
it's obvious. It's obvious.
But wow, the way he is playing. But then I'm really starting to beg the question here. Sit him. What are you doing?
I know.
He's a goal scorer, and look what happened to Claude Giroux after his wrist injury.
Does Matthew sit tonight?
Listen. I would have said he should have sat the last couple of games. Like I get it's important because you haven't been great. They haven't. They might have looked like the better team, but the bounces aren't going their way. And they were going their way at the beginning of the season. So this is just luck turning against them, I guess, in a way. But we've seen them play without Matthews and they can do it. So I don't understand. Like I get the injury can heal while he still plays, which I believe both him and Keefe have said. But that doesn't mean you keep playing him. Like I know it's a what if something bad happens, you can use that with anything. But I think you had at the time a lead, a sizable lead from second place. You can win without Matthews. So why still play him? Why don't you let him rest?
I didn't realize the Leafs were playing, by the way, so I went to go check.
Yeah.
Sens.
Yeah, but you
Yes.
don't understand. They're in
Hashtag Sens
Toronto.
Army.
This is Toronto. And what is
Correct.
Toronto known for during their championship run?
What championship? Like the Raptors championship.
Yes,
Right?
load
Okay.
management. It
Yeah.
works.
Do you guys know who's playing right now, by the way?
The Clippers?
No.
Okay, I think it's Kawhi Leonard.
I don't know.
Minnesota are playing the
Yeah.
I just thought I'd mention that. I mean, and if it's the Sens too, does he need to play against the Sens?
Give him the rest. Like,
Not really.
Matt Murray's expected tonight. Nothing confirmed. If Matt Murray's playing, do you really need to throw? I mean, you might get a few goals towards the Rocket tonight if Matt Murray's in there, but like, do we need to put, even if it's Hogberg or Decor, do we really need Austin Matthews down there tonight? I don't think we do.
I think like it is another, I guess, championship example I'll give is 2013, where Patrick Kane misses quite a bit of time. He doesn't really look 100%, and the Blackhawks realize even in a long season, let's sit him a bit. Let's not play him every other game. Let's give him a bit of a rest and just reevaluate after. No, like keep putting him back into the lineup. And arguably, from that team, what the Leafs have, I think they're a deeper team.
Okay.
You don't have Michael Hanzus as your second line center.
Yes, but one of the all-time great names, by the way. I want to ask you guys one more thing here, because I was about to check Twitter to end the show, and I saw something really interesting. I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a Sharks fan, right? Last night, I mean.
Was it Eric with a K?
It has to do with Eric with a K.
Okay.
And I saw Mike tweet something about this.
Mike Stevens?
No. I'd love to talk to Mike Stevens, though. Love it. Love to have him on the show. Would love it. But, the stars don't always align.
Not yet.
No.
The vision still has its time.
No, he's not welcomed on the show. Like how...
That's definitely not true.
Like, no, he's not welcome. He's not
That's
welcome.
not true.
He's like Prince Edward VIII after the...
Oh my gosh.
He's not
Okay.
allowed to
You
come
and the
back on.
history references.
He's
too.
out of the family. But no, he's not allowed on. He's not allowed. No. Unless he comes on with a letter of apology. Anyway, okay, listen. So Erik Karlsson has basically said he doesn't want to go through another rebuild. And everyone's getting pissy at him because he's not playing well. He makes a lot of money. Can we kind of remember, though, that he went through this in Ottawa, and what was he rewarded with by the Sens? Nothing. He was cast away. B,
More than Tom Hanks.
What?
He's cast away more than Tom Hanks.
What's the coconut's name? Wilbur or something?
Yeah, Wilbur, I'm sorry.
Wilbur! Is it actually Wilbur?
Is it Wilbur? Wilson.
Wilson!
Where did we get a Wilbur from?
The pig?
Oh, from Charlotte's Web.
Yeah.
Yeah, great book.
Never read it, never watched the movie.
Okay.
Anyway, B, can we remember that Erik Karlsson physically can't play at the same level anymore?
Which is sad.
Like it all started with Matt Cook, by the way. And then it led to the best playoff performance we've seen from a defenseman in how long in 2017. Maybe it's because I'm a massive Karlsson fan, and he's had on and off the ice. We need to remember he's had a very, very rough few years. We talked about Matt Murray losing his father. Like the thing with Erik Karlsson in his life, maybe I just don't like it. But can we give Erik Karlsson maybe a stecker? Like he signed in San Jose, A, because of the money, B, that was a more model organization that had been winning hockey games and making the playoffs and making runs since the early 2000s, something like
You,
that. They had been consistent for so long.
you know what the thing is?
What?
Is I think a lot of people give him and Evander Kane crap because I think they think that the reason that certain guys aren't there anymore are because of these two.
I mean,
Because they had to give them. I'm not saying it's right,
yeah.
but I think a lot of people in San Jose or San Jose fans in general preferred Joe Pavelski over Evander Kane.
The way I
Or
see it,
spending money on somewhere else than Erik Karlsson. I don't know, but especially the Evander Kane. The way I see them I think they know that if Evander Kane isn't here, Joe Pavelski still is, and I think they're so much more connected to Joe Pavelski than they were Evander Kane.
All right, the way I kind of see it too is this is not new for the Sharks. They have never really been a team known to really, develop from the ground up. When you look back on all the trades they've done, they've always dug deep from the prospect pool. They've always mortgaged the future, and they've always had these big contracts. If you even go back to when they were still kind of, riding on a Marlowe or a Thornton to really be part of these teams, other than Logan Couture, you saw a lot of young prospects get traded. You saw the Danny Heatley deal. You saw what they were doing with that. You saw how they were kind of, going in between when they should have kind of retooled. I know that everyone looks at the finals of 2016 saying, all right, well, they had a team there. But again, you have to look at the year before. They missed the playoffs by quite a bit. And what they've been trying to do, and I'm not saying that the management's been kind of bad, but look what's kind of gotten you when you think of the Joe Pavelski. Yeah, he's not the player he used to be, but I know he has that leadership aspect. But they kept the other guys that have a bit of that semblance too of, they gave your best years to them, and yeah, they signed the extension, and it happens to a lot of teams. It just sucks, the Mark Edward Vlasic, the Brent Burns, those are not aging well. But again, these are the guys that gave their all during their prime, and I could see where Erik Karlsson's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing quickly, I think hockey fans in general, and I think this is one of the issues with hockey fans in recent years, is that they look at a player, they look at how much money they make, and they look, well, sorry, you're and I think this is one of the things is they say he's making an $11.5 million a year. And that's not 100%. Hey, if someone offered me $11.5 million a year and really I'm not worth that, no, of course I'm taking that contract. There's no way I'm not signing on the dotted line. And I think they see that and they say, well, hey, you took $11.5 million for this team. I don't want to hear you complain. I'm not defending their thought process. I just think we've seen it happen in the past before with the guys who make big bucks speaking out about something and people complaining because they make a lot of money.
Also, is it a bad thing Erik Karlsson is saying he doesn't want to lose?
No, it's not a bad thing.
I think that zeal of, trying to literally carrying the team, I don't think it's kind of there right now, because I think, I don't know, that playoff run just did something to him with Ottawa.
He's just never been the same. I'm going to tell my kids, I swear to you, Erik Karlsson was a god. How everyone's like, Forsberg, he was amazing. Yeah. Karlsson.
Peter?
Go ahead.
Peter Forsberg?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Philip, but not Prince Philip. He's a tool.
Okay, yes, Philip with an F.
Yeah, he's good, but Peter Forsberg was. There's
Something
a very
else.
good YouTube clip of a game against. I mentioned it before against the Panthers. They were down 5-0, and he single-handedly gets them back in the game.
Game changer.
He's just he's a player that goes through you, got them. He's just pure dominance. I love watching Forsberg highlights. He's just, as someone who grew up respecting Colorado as a second favorite team, like that guy. Everyone goes on about, naturally, because he was a Leaf, people go on about Lindros and like just how dominant he was. Forsberg's right up there.
I love the connection there.
Yeah, and probably because Forsberg's. I'm not gonna say that. But like honestly, Peter Forsberg. I mean, if there's a guy, I think I talked about Dotsuk when you asked us in the text the other day, Daniel, who you'd want to see. If there's anyone in history that I could go to and get to watch again, it would also be Peter Forsberg, because that is, and the way how he would come back. Even when he missed the whole year, came back for one of their cup wins and like won the Conn Smythe. And I would never miss that beat, kind of like Bobby Orr did. Just something special, something so special that we're never gonna see again, Peter Forsberg. And like he wasn't. There's the stigma around European players that they're more like sort of like the finesse-y type.
I was gonna say that, yeah.
He was just, I'm gonna roll you over like concrete getting messed up with a jackhammer. That's what we called Peter Forsberg in high school, the jackhammer.
Not Goldberg,
No,
the wrestler.
no,
Okay.
no.
Or the Austin Powers villain.
Gold member.
Oh, gold member.
Gold
Yeah,
member.
sorry, gold member. Sorry.
Right.
Also played by Mike Myers.
Are we good?
Yeah, I
Okay.
believe that's everything.
Okay. Before I keep going about the royal family, we should end the show.
What? You never mentioned that
Probably.
earlier. Yeah.
Okay. This was a good show.
Yep.
A lot of trades, speculation, names of awards, Minnesota bias, Montreal bias, and a good time. I don't know what I'm doing right now. We are pleased to be here today representing The Crown. I've been watching so much of The Crown. It's such a good show, by the way. Watch it. We are so
On the
pleased to
list.
be here today with my husband, Prince Philip. And the way she says Philip is so fun. Daniel, I don't know what Daniel's just holding something back.
My
right
gosh, I thought we were over this.
Adam will never be over it.
This nation.
No.
I love the Queen. It's so funny.
Only you're allowed to do this because you're British.
Yeah. You ever seen her dogs, like the corgis?
No.
I love corgis. They are so cute. Like the little legs. Like they're just like teddy bears.
I like baby French bulldogs.
What's wrong with English bulldogs? You know what's weird is being an Englishman, and like, listen, I'm barely British at this point, but like, I hate France because you're supposed to, but being a Canadian, I'm such a wannabe French Canadian.
But what about the Entente Cordiale?
When?
The agreement in good faith
Well, I don't.
prior to World War One.
Yeah, but they're just, the French are just like there's just something about it as an Englishman where you're like, yeah, the French. It's just, they think they're better cooks. There's just an air of confidence. I can't say cockiness, but there's a bit of cockiness with the French. Where it's like, listen, and like the English are very much an old school traditionalist, while the French are just like, here we are we're better than everyone. Like, maybe it's because I'm a big Gordon Ramsay fan and he always makes fun of the French. It's just, listen, I like Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and I like, who's the one on the Canucks? Antoine Roussel.
And
Yes.
Alex Texier.
And Texier,
And
yeah.
Christabel Huet.
Even though, no, not Huet. Was he French?
Yeah, he's French.
I call it fake French.
Okay.
Quebec is better.
New French.
New French. All right. What do you do the outro, please?
All right, guys. Well, this was a great episode. We really only focused on hockey here. No tangents whatsoever. But thank you again, VoiceTed, for being an excellent platform for us. Please check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, really anywhere on your podcast. Give us a rating if you can. Leave a comment. Check out the YouTube.
You
The
think there's
we-
a history podcast and voice head about the royal family?
Probably.
I think that's
Okay,
Just
I
my
thought
guess.
I thought it was ending this episode, but yes, thank you again, Voice Dead. We love you guys. Thank you to you guys for making this a very funny show.
Yes.
Remember to check out the YouTube, check out Alex's blog, check out Adam's YouTube. Oh yeah, your article's coming out soon for the eye opener. Be sure to check out the sports issue.
Eventually,
Coming
I
out.
keep being told there are edits, and that they're done, but I keep getting more. But I'm told to ignore
It's okay.
them.
One day it will surprise us, and we'll look back on this conversation. Please check out my stuff for the hockey writers and the eye opener,
Yeah.
and we will see you guys.
We want to hear from the
Next
person who gave us 2 stars on iTunes. We want to have
Yes.
Of course.
I
We
bet it
will
was
see
Mike
you next
Stevens.
week.